Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with Alyssa Snider from The Challenge USA, who was eliminated Thursday night in the arena by Cassidy Clark. Alyssa, you come from Big Brother. This is a totally different game. The lying and the backstabbing might be the same, but it's much more physical. So, what was it like to sink your teeth into this competition, and how did the intensity compare to Big Brother?
It was insane. When I tell you that Big Brother, they have you like in a superhero costume. They have you crawling through like a haunted house in some goo. They don't have you running up a mountain carrying 100-pound statue or jumping off a cliff and swimming down to solve a word search or like swimming out to a boat. It was so physically taxing. I do not think that I was like mentally or physically prepared to take on what I was about to go through. But like truly, the challenge pushes you to your limits. So I came into it, I didn't know what to expect. And there was like multiple days where I was like, all right, this is my breaking point. Nope, there's actually a deeper breaking point that I did not know about. So overall, it was such a beautiful experience. And I really found that inner fighter in myself, but it was a lot like crazier, harder, more physical than I ever anticipated.
So, would you say you're an adrenaline junkie, or was this way outside your comfort zone?
I think this is outside my comfort zone. I wouldn't say I'm naturally like afraid of heights or really like afraid of things, but am I itching to like be strapped to a semi truck? Not really, no.
Well, the Big Brother players just couldn't hold it together. You were early targets and really weren't able to band together to pull your weights. Because at first, there was this target on the challenge vets, which seemed smart from the CBS shows, but pretty quickly, both Amazing Race guys are out, and then you're the sixth Big Brother player eliminated. What happened there?
So I think in the beginning of the game, like all the CBS people kind of like grouped together. We're like, all right, we got some vets out. We were feeling good. We were on top. And then vets do what vets do best, and they do some politicking. They picked Survivor. They had more numbers. They were already been down in the sand and proved themselves to be like really good competitors. They pulled in Survivor, and then Big Brother became an easy target. And I think somebody like Dusty, who was like from Amazing Race, who didn't really know Big Brother, just kind of assumed we were slimy snakes. We have that reputation for being able to lie and manipulate. And so he thought that we were his votes in when really it was Survivor. So they played him and they had the upper hand.
Were you a fan of the challenge? Like, did you know these vets when they rode up on those jet skis, or were they strangers to you?
They were strangers to me. So I hadn't seen the challenge. I didn't really want to psych myself out for like going into this new experience. I mean, I had heard of them before and meeting them, I was like, all right, if they've done this game for like 20 years, like, aren't you guys like 40? So like, what is this going to be? But they really proved why they are challengers. And I mean, Tori is a badass. Like meeting her, she's super like sweet and soft. We connected. We both write poetry, but she like is out there like grinding. I would be terrified to go against her in an elimination.
The only Big Brother player still standing is Tyler, who you developed quite a showmance with. You're like the Bachelorette of CBS. I love this for you. You two formed this bond, and you tried not to let it impact the game. I would say, as a viewer, it probably didn't hurt. I mean, you two were targets no matter what. Um, did that help you just sort of hold on to your sanity in the house, or what were you feeling in that moment?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So like day one coming in the house, like Tyler and I developed a really close friendship. Like we had so much in common. We were just like on the same wavelength as people. And I feel like we just created this great friendship, which was like an amazing foundation. And then one night we had a little too much wine and it became a little more than that. And I don't think it really like made us more of a target. I mean, yeah, I guess, oh, they're in a show, but like, what is that going to do? It's not like, all right, they're vote. We would vote together no matter what, since we were Big Brother. And so it was just great to have somebody in there. And naturally, I'm not a politicker kind of person. I don't really know how to like lie and manipulate and strategize. I'm like, what do I bring to the table? My vote, please don't vote me. But like, it really like stresses me out. So having someone who could bring me back down to earth is like the glimmer of hope that I needed throughout this entire experience.
Any continuation outside of the challenge house?
No. So after we got out of the challenge, we like took some time to like decompress. And me being the lover girl that I am, I'm like, all right, so when are we getting married? Are we having kids? Do you want to move in together? And he was like, okay, let's take a second here, Alyssa. Like to realistically think about it, I've been on two shows in 1 year. I was in a very serious relationship from Big Brother that I was still mourning the loss of and processing. He was out of an engagement, processing that. Two hurt people coming together doesn't really make for like a healthy long-term relationship. It's best if we both work on ourselves and stay as friends because I want him in my life for the rest of my life.
Well, there were a lot of tears throughout the season, not because of him, but just of how exhausting it was really to have a bullseye on you for so many weeks. What was it like emotionally in there? Because we saw you crying multiple times.
What? You saw me crying? That's so weird. I don't know what you're talking about. It was a lot. So being the people pleaser I am, I naturally like just take on everybody else's emotions. And I couldn't help but feel so guilty every time I voted for someone. I would just think about like I had voted for Chris once, and I'm like, am I ruining his dreams of winning $250,000? And I voted for Chanel. I'm like, crap, she's a friend of mine, but she had voted for me too. And at the end of the day, it's a game, but it's hard to not keep the human part of it and be like, I don't want to ruin your dreams, but somebody has to go. So it was a lot of like mental struggle, I think, going back and forth in between that. Plus, the challenges were so hard that afterwards I was so tired. I'm like, I just want to cry and eat gummy worms in my bed. And that's what I did a lot of the time.
Cassidy's clearly at the bottom of the Survivor Alliance. They've just sacrificed her at this point, and she's not happy about it. But you go into this arena challenge called Ripped Off. You're suspended in the air, trying to rip patches off each other for 5 minutes at a time. You really held your own on this. You looked tough out there. It was a great battle. You pulled 8 patches off her, and it looked like she got her 9th off of you with just like a second left. How disappointing was that for you to go home in such a close battle?
It was absolutely devastating. So going into this, I was like, thank the challenge gods, it's not a hall brawl, but this was almost worse. Like I was suspended 30 feet in the air and I was like scrappy fighting her. And like, if you can see, I have a scar across my wrist. She took a chunk out of my arm. I have her nail marks all across my wrist. We were scrapping out there, biting, kicking, hitting, like anything you possibly could. And that is so out of my comfort zone. Like the whole time I was like, okay, just keep swimming. You got it. Keep fighting. And I gave it my all. And I was like, wow, this was the first time I really tapped into that like deep, deep inner fighter and truly gave it absolutely everything. And to not win was just such like a devastating experience.
It was so close. Did TJ tell you what would have happened if there was a tie? Like, would it have been whoever got the 8th patch off the fastest, or do you know what would have happened if you tied?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's who would have gotten it off the fastest. I don't know if he would have made us go into a third round, but I'm pretty sure it's who had gotten it the fastest. So that would have been nice. So I could have stayed because I still would have been at the bottom though. And I think if I wasn't a main nomination, I would have been the one the house voted in. So no matter what, I was always going to be a target and I was going to have to prove myself in the sand no matter what. But it just came so close and I didn't get it this time. But hopefully I get a chance to come back and prove myself.
When you look back at the season as a whole, what was the most difficult challenge of all of them?
Definitely capsize. So when you had to jump off the platform, swim out to the boat, flip it, and memorize the flags, you are in a wetsuit, a life jacket, a helmet, and boots. My boots are filled with water. I'm a really good swimmer outside of all of that, but swimming this water is ice cold. Literally, like it's 30 degrees outside. So imagine the water. And during all of this stuff, my boots, I felt like I was sinking. I couldn't breathe. I was like having a panic attack, and Alyssa Lopez was having to calm me down. I completely blacked out. I don't remember memorizing my flags. And it literally came down to if my flags were right. And I was like, oh, Lordy, I don't know if I got this right. But it was so hard that afterwards I was like, I remember my arms were purple. All of our arms were purple. We had rashes from our life vests. Like it was so much, but I had seen the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen in my life after that challenge. And that really made it feel worth it.
Who were you most loyal to in the game? And was there anyone that you felt the most betrayed by?
Um, Probably like Big Brother in general. I mean, I would say I was super loyal to everybody. Like I was loyal to Alyssa Lopez. She was my ride or die. And then I was so loyal to Tyler and Monty and everybody. Like I really wanted to protect everyone, but at the end of the day, Tyler was my person. And I don't really think I was betrayed by anyone. I mean, maybe Michaela voting me in. I like just felt like there was other options and she was my roommate. We slept next to each other. I felt like I was always a good friend to her. And like, I mean, friendship doesn't mean anything in the challenge, but like I wouldn't have come for her. So that was kind of a bummer. And like Chanel had kind of like lied to me about some votes during the season, and I didn't love that. But again, it's the game. So I don't really feel betrayed by anyone, just a little bummed out.
And as you were leaving the game, so no spoilers if you know how this all plays out. But as you walked out that day, who did you think was sitting in the best spot to reach the finale and who was playing the best game?
I think that, let's see, who would be in the best spot? Michelle is in a really good spot because she has Survivor protecting her and the vets protecting her. And if you've seen, I haven't seen her name in that hopper too often. She had one vote that last one. Other than that, I don't really think she's ever been a main nomination or ever gets votes. So I think she's like set herself up really well. Also, I was protecting her. So I think she's in a really good spot for the girls also, and like not being in the Strong Girls Alliance. The Strong Girls Alliance obviously has their advantages, and I mean like they're fierce competitors. For guys, I would say like maybe like a Corey or like a Fessy, because the vets are just in such a good spot. And I feel like Corey and Fessy aren't really that messy, and they're both pretty good at doing the challenges. So I could see them going far.
Fessy lost the Messi, so that's good. He used to be called Messy Fessy.
I know he was good this season.
And a side question, are you keeping up with Big Brother this season? And if so, do you have any favorites or thoughts on that?
Not really. I've tuned into it a little bit before the challenge episodes, but it's like the best way I would describe Big Brother for me now. I was such a big fan before I had gone on it, but now it's like you have this celebrity that you idolize and you really want to meet, and then you meet them and they're not that great. And then you're like, this just ruined it for me. I feel like now, like seeing all the behind the scenes stuff and like having experienced Big Brother, it kind of just like took away the magic.
Did this experience make you want to return to the challenge or run far, far from it? Is this something you would return to?
I experienced both emotions going through the process, but I would say I would return. Like I think that that last elimination, like I really felt like I saw a new side of myself, and I'm like, she's there. It's possible. So I would love an opportunity to come back and fight and prove to everyone that just because you cry a lot and you're emotional doesn't mean you can't fight.
And what would you do differently if you come back?
I would trust myself more and I would push myself harder, like in daily elimination or daily challenges. Like when we did the one where we jumped off the cliff and did the word search, I won that heat, but I didn't do it fast enough to beat Tori. So do it faster, work harder, and trust yourself.
Well, Alyssa, you had a target on your back the whole time. So congratulations on making it as far as you did. And thanks for
Thank
sitting down
you.
with Derby today.
Of course. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.